Hi everyone, I'm Andrea. I'm one of the co-founders of Pantera Private Society, and today I have Jolly with me, and we're going to be discussing something that we have been doing an investigation on that's very time critical and sensitive regarding a Chinese man who is in prison down in Australia. So I will get started on the story and how it goes, and Jolly will fill in some of the pieces. Several months ago, we had a member come and stay here at the Pantera house in Upland, and he introduced Jolly and I to this healing modality called Paida Lajin, which is from China. And it's something that you self-administer. It's a self-healing technique where you slap your body, basically, where there's places that maybe there's buildup of lymph, or, I don't know all the dynamics of how it all works, but it works. That's the key. And so we were doing that. Jolly does it a lot more than I do, but I've found that when I started doing it, lots of stuff came up, and it was a very interesting process. Part of the process that we went on was just finding more information about it, and went on to the YouTube and found a whole bunch of different videos, and I was really impressed by the videos that there were all kinds of people all over the world who were practicing this Paida Lajin, that were in Europe, South Africa, China, all kinds of places, Indonesia and Australia. And they were showing people who were doing the process with Master Xiao is his name. And they would go up on the stage hobbling, and then they come down running, or they would be stretching and do different things. There's a slapping part to it. There's a stretching part to it. And there was one man that really impressed me that had bladder cancer, and he told his whole story of how he cured himself with it. And so that was very, very interesting. But one of the things that we found is that Master Xiao was in prison in Australia, that he had been extradited from England because of something that happened at one of his workshops in Australia. And there was just nothing else about it. And both Jolly and I combed the whole internet looking for anything. I went into all news in Australia, nothing. There was no saying what actually happened and why he was there. So
even our members in Australia couldn't find any news about it beyond the extradition.
Yeah.
So we felt we needed to do something more.
So Jolly and Andrea, a private detective agency, went on search for on Facebook and that. And I had left messages on all kinds of Facebook pages, got nothing back. But finally, Jolly
I
found
had
somebody.
actually signed up. We found the website. There's two of them, paidalajin.com/en for English, and then there's pailala.org, Paila, pailala.org. And I signed up for newsletters, and lo and behold, a while later a newsletter showed up, and I'm like, oh well, somebody's sending out newsletters. So I looked closer and I emailed back to the place that I'd got the newsletter, asking what happened to Master Xiao. And we got a little communication going there with a friend of Master Xiao, and little by little we started to learn a little bit more, and we were able to go and visit with him, this friend, yesterday, and we found out more about what was happening.
And coincidentally, he lives in Orange County, so that was really convenient so that we could get the story. And so, and actually I was quite surprised at some of the things that he told us yesterday. And the reason why we're doing this film today is because it is time critical, and Master Xiao's trial is coming up on October 29th. So first of all, the story really is that Master Xiao was born in China, and he was from Beijing, and then he ended up going to university in the United States. Not too sure where that was, but he got his MBA in business, and then he went and worked on Wall Street for 10 years, and he was very prolific, and he was very good at what he was doing. And I do remember reading somewhere that he did lots of translation for the Chinese in business stuff, and did some book for the Chinese government or something like that. I can't find that now. But he was not really happy in what he was doing. He wasn't feeling fulfilled, and he didn't feel that was his purpose in life. So there was this monk that contacted him and told him, you need to stop what you're doing and go back to China and go visit these places up in the mountains where these hermits live and learn Chinese healing. So I don't know what their relationship was before, but Master Xiao went there, and according to his friend, he studied all kinds of modalities. He studied acupuncture, acupressure. There's lots of the different modalities in the Chinese realm. And then he came upon this Paida Lajin from some guys way in the mountains. That was some ancient healing thing. So he studied with them, and he learnt lots of the technique with them. And then he decided he went to Tibet, started off there, and he healed, like his friend said, over 1,000 people with this method. And then he started traveling the world. And one of the things that's very critical to know is that he didn't charge money. He was, living on a shoestring budget. It wasn't something that he was doing to capitalize on. He felt this was his passion in life, that he wanted to heal people, and he came upon thousands and thousands of people all over the world and taught them this modality.
And it's so simple that it only takes a few minutes to learn it. So once they've learned it, that's it. So it's not like it's something that he has to charge anything for. It's his vocation to teach people to heal themselves. He doesn't even do the healing. He teaches people to do it themselves. And that's something that he felt that's what people of the earth deserve, is to be able to do a simple self-healing method.
So according to his friend, there's lots of people who have been healed. There's been people who are celebrities. There was a Hollywood director. There was some guy in Switzerland, some politician or something like that. So it's far-reaching. And so then what happened was, when he was in Australia, some people came to the workshop. There was a couple who had a son with diabetes, and he was a young boy. I don't know his age.
6, I think he was at the time. Yeah,
6. And somehow he was left alone in a room, and he choked and died. So the story is that was given was that his parents told. His parents were actually charged originally too with manslaughter. Is that Master Xiao told them to have him stop taking his medication, which really doesn't make sense, because we don't really know when the last time he took his insulin, or he just showed up at the workshop. He was left alone. His grandmother was supposed to look after him, but she wasn't in the room. He died, and the ambulance came, took him away. So
the important thing is that Xiao is, and on the website everywhere, he says that nobody should change anything they do when they're coming to the workshop. He absolutely does not recommend anybody stop taking medication, stop doing anything they're doing. He absolutely, that's one of the very important things. Everybody has to do disclaimers and things, and he very much always states, do not change taking medication. So that had been accused that he had told them to stop, but that's absolutely not possible that he would have done that.
Yes, and there doesn't seem to be any investigation of what actually really happened in the time frame and when the boy took his last insulin, or we could speculate on some of the things that happened, that maybe when they arrested the parents, maybe they got afraid and said something or whatever. But by that point, Master Xiao went off. He was in England, and he was arrested there and then extradited back to Australia, put in jail, and they wanted $30,000 bond. And so
it was raised, wasn't it?
Yeah, they raised $30,000 and sent it. And then the judge said, oh, so then you do have money, so this must be a fraud. So then he charged him with fraud, which is ridiculous, because anybody who goes to jail or gets arrested usually has friends, and their people put up bonds, like they put their houses up or whatever as a bond. So because of that, he was put back in jail. He's been there for a year now with no bail. And
the other part of the fraud charge is that he's sort of representing something that is, something that doesn't work, and that he's in it for money. Basically, what we've just described about him is A, the process does work, and B, he's not in it for money. He does it because he knows that's his role in life. And his friend described to us about how he is a very frugal man. He doesn't have many. He wears the same yellow jacket all the time. He eats, what did he say? He ate bread and olive oil. That's all he ate the entire time he was staying with him. He's not a man that is in this for money. So the fraud charge just needs to collapse right now, because it's ridiculous. If he was going to do fraud, he would have done it when he was in the financial area.
So there's this book on Amazon that sold over 1 million copies. So that's a lot of copies. And that means, you don't know if everybody's read it, but it's not like it's this fraud thing that he just came out and was bringing this bogus healing thing. It has a history to it. There's all kinds of testimonials from people who've been healed by it. And, for a book to sell 1 million copies, there's something to that. So, when I first did acupuncture back in the 70s, I came to LA to do some, and there was the first acupuncturist that come from China, and everybody thought, oh, this is quackery. And, that's what happened back then. But now look at acupuncture being used everywhere, and even in operating rooms and that. So just because people in the West have never heard of it or don't know about it, and Master Xiao was going around and teaching everybody, then that doesn't necessitate to charge him with fraud, because there are people who have been healed. And the fact that this boy died, it was the neglect of his parents leaving him alone, not we don't know how long he'd been in the workshop or whatever. Don't know.
But we do know the boy wasn't enrolled in the workshop, and everybody that enrolls in the workshop sign a disclaimer, that there's no responsibility to the workshop for anything that happens. So he wasn't even enrolled in it. He wasn't even part of it. So there's no disclaimer that nothing was signed to do with the boy. Wasn't even supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that really, you probably can't see this picture of him, but that's about the best I can do. But there's something that just really hits you when you watch him. He's extremely humble. His friend said he's a genius. He's just a really nice guy, basically. Yeah. Really cares about people. There was nothing to be made from this, except for he was just felt that was his calling, that this monk had helped him to discover this and get it out to the world. Yes, and this book is available on Amazon. Heal Yourself Naturally Now by Hongxi Xiao. Mm-hmm. And also what we wanted to say is what we would like from those of you that might watch this is we'd like, first of all, some energy put out there to him. Those of you that work with energy, he's there in prison, in jail, I suppose it is at this point, with no family members. Although, having said that, here's another character reference. He has 2 ex-wives, but they both went to visit him and his daughter, and they've travelled out to Australia to visit him.
But he doesn't have any family in the area. If anyone's in the Sydney area, we'd love somebody to maybe go there and visit him. And then
there hasn't been a real coordinated
Right.
effort to support him. There was. It's supposedly very big in Indonesia, and they've raised $7,000 to help him, which is a lot of money when you don't have any, and a lot of people are poor in Indonesia. There is the $30,000 that was put for the bond, so there is some money there. So that brings us to his current representation, which is abysmal, and he has what we would call a public defender here, like a solicitor, who has really done nothing to support him. They've sent thousands of videos of all his work to him, and he goes, why are you sending me this? Which is crazy. It doesn't seem like he's got a case together. And as Ken has said, a lot of the public defenders are not usually on the side of the defense, and they have a different agenda going on. It does seem that there is an agenda, a conspiratorial sort of thing of putting somebody who's like Master Xiao in the prison system, because number one, there's no money in this, and maybe the big pharma might have something to do with this. We don't know, but he needs a better representation. But as we've sort of been dabbling and finding out that it's going to cost a lot of money to do that. There's what they call a Queen's Counsel for a serious charge of manslaughter. So the number one thing is that just to put this out and get it out there, because there's nothing out there anywhere about this case, about Master Xiao, what's going on with him. Even his friend said he still gets emails of people asking, is there a workshop coming up soon in Australia? Like they don't know about it. It's not in the news in Australia. And I'm sure that there's alternative publications or websites or things that we can get this story out so that he can get some support, because he's all alone. He was American before he left. He had immigrated to the U.S., so he's not Australian. Doesn't have a lot of friends there, but his friend said that he has made friends in jail and has helped people and shown them how to heal themselves, and that's been nice.
Yeah, there's some good in it. But he certainly needs support, and anyone that's watching that has done Paida Lajin and has had some success with it, testimonials, although there are some, and they have, like Andrew mentioned, there's been videos sent to the council that he's not even bothering to look. There's lots of evidence that show that Paida Lajin works, that Master Xiao is not a fraud, and it seems like there's very little evidence that he had anything to do with the passing of that young boy. So from what we've so far discovered is there's very small grounds to even hold up these charges. So with proper counsel, we'd even hope that it would be dropped. But at the moment, he hasn't proper counsel, and unfortunately in this world these days, it's money that talks for that. So we're going to have to ask people for support in that direction. We'll have to get something set up for that still, but we're going to provide some contact, and that will also be posted here with a video that you could contact. It's info@pailala.org. So that is how I couldn't spell it before. PAILALA.org. So that's info@pailala.org, and we'll add that.
Or you can also send an email to admin@Gemstone University .org if you have any ideas of where we could go with this. If you have any contacts in the Sydney area of any legal counsel, or have any information that you could give us of how much this would cost. If we could somehow prolong the trial, get a stay on it, and be able to get the evidence and things together. One of the things that his friend said is a lot of the Chinese people who he's healed are a little bit timid to come out. The Chinese community in Australia are afraid of bucking up against the system, but they do have. There's been people healed from serious things, and I was browsing through this book, and there's things for every disease, cancer, diabetes,
Heart disease,
where
everything.
where people have been healed, and so the crime is that he's in jail.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
that he
crime.
can't continue his life's work to share with the number of people that he's already helped is in the thousands and thousands. And that's why we felt he's helped thousands of people. We're thousands of people. Why can't we help him? If thousands and thousands of people donated $1 or $5 or whatever, we could get the help he needs to get him out of there, so then he can continue his work, because that's what he's here for. Thankfully, he's helping people in the jail, which is a little bit of a compensation.
We've kind of wondered about the publishing company, who's doing that and who's making money on the books, and why aren't they helping him? It seems very strange. The whole situation is very strange that this got so suppressed, and that it's not out there, and it's really crazy.
Yeah. So we are appealing to everybody that watches this to step up and do something. We've recognised that a lot of people are not willing to take action, and that's why we've taken action, because we felt this is like a complete travesty that a man of such integrity, and there's no doubt if anybody watches his videos you can see the beauty and grace in this man. He is here for humanity, not for personal gain. Absolutely, you can feel it in your heart.
And one thing we don't know is what is a manslaughter charge if found guilty, what that entails in Australia. I know in some places it's really hefty. So we have to stop this immediately. So we've got about a month to do something. We hope that other things will happen within the Gemstone reality that we'll be able to help him out. And but if anybody here from Australia watching, you want to, if you can go visit him or write to him, or if you've got contacts in the media or whatever, I think if this story got out, it would just make it a lot better for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll post, I have an address where you can write to him, so we'll post that under the video as well, so that anybody that would like to write to him can do, and even visit. So absolutely, let's just support him, and from distance, let's support him with our energy and appreciation for what he has been doing in his life.
Great.
So
anything
that's
else?
probably what we need to say for now. So thanks for anybody that was watching.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck, Master Xiao.
Yes.
Okay.